5 centuries ago, long before social media, dating advice, and relationship podcasts, a disgraced Florentine diplomat sat alone in exile, convinced the world had already forgotten him. Niccolo Machiavelli was broke, unemployed, and humiliated. Yet, instead of surrendering to bitterness, he picked up a pen and wrote something so disruptive, so psychologically unsettling that the Catholic Church attempted to silence it. And rulers across Europe vowed never to speak his name again. Not because he encouraged evil, but because he exposed it. Because he forced humanity to confront the motivations we prefer to disguise behind romance, morality, and virtue. For 500 years, people have repeated the same accusation. Machiavelli was manipulative, immoral, dangerous, but very few have actually read what he wrote. Even fewer have understood it because his work wasn't really about kings or war or political scheming. It was about people. It was about the unspoken patterns driving loyalty, desire, betrayal, and attachment. And today, one question echoes louder than ever. What did Machiavelli really understand about women, relationships, and human nature that we still refuse to admit? This video isn't another cynical rant about modern dating. It isn't a complaint, an ideology, or a weapon. It's an exploration, a journey into the psychological forces that govern attraction, commitment, and emotional investment. And according to Machiavelli, there is one thing, one driving motive, powerful enough to explain why love flourishes, why relationships fail, why passion ignites and dies, and why women choose some men and leave others behind. We are going to uncover it. But first, you must see the world through Machiavelli's eyes without the comforting illusions that normally protect you. To understand Machiavelli's relevance to female psychology, you must understand why he terrified the world. He refused to write about people as they wished to appear. He wrote about them as they actually behaved. While others praised honor, loyalty, and moral duty, Machiavelli observed a different reality. When circumstances changed, so did affection. When resources disappeared, so did loyalty. When danger arrived, so did betrayal. And he didn't condemn this. He simply documented it. He believed that human beings, regardless of gender or social class, are guided not by ideals, but by incentives, by survival, by emotional and material benefit, by what improves their life and protects their future. That includes kings, soldiers, priests, lovers, friends, husbands, and yes, women. Not because women are uniquely self-interested, but because all humans are. Yet Machiavelli noticed something society desperately tried to hide. Women's motivations were judged more harshly, even though they followed the same universal psychological laws as men. Society insisted women were driven purely by romance, morality, devotion. Machiavelli saw through it. He recognized that women, like men, make decisions according to internal calculations, conscious or unconscious, about risk, reward, safety, fulfillment, and opportunity. And that honesty made him dangerous because if you remove the illusion that love is unconditional or permanent, you are forced to see relationships not as fairy tales but as fragile agreements maintained only while they remain mutually beneficial. We live in a world that markets love as destiny, chemistry, or emotional magic. But Machiavelli understood something more grounded. Desire has context. Attraction isn't random. Affection isn't free. Commitment isn't guaranteed. People stay where their needs are met and leave where they aren't. And this applies particularly to women, not because they are mercenary or manipulative, but because historically the stakes of choosing the wrong partner have been higher for them than for men. Women have always faced greater biological, social, and economic vulnerability. For most of history, a woman's survival, reputation, safety, and freedom depended heavily on the quality of her partner. So, female psychology evolved around evaluation, discernment, and risk management long before dating apps existed. This doesn't make women calculating. Music. It makes them intelligent. It makes them strategic. It makes them aware. Machiavelli argued that when someone's well-being depends on another person, they cannot afford to choose based on idealism. They must choose based on outcomes. And so beneath every love story, every relationship, every romantic fantasy, he saw a quiet negotiation unfolding. Will this partnership improve my life or endanger it? Women throughout history learned to ask that question instinctively. Modern women still ask it, though today they may call it compatibility, emotional safety, or long-term stability. Most men hear this and feel threatened because it challenges the fantasy that love alone should be enough. But Machiavelli would argue the opposite. It makes love real. It makes it earned rather than assumed. When Machiavelli wrote that people are loyal only while it benefits them, critics called him cruel. But he wasn't advocating selfishness. He was revealing its inevitability. Humans care about others deeply, but not infinitely. There is always a limit, a breaking point, a moment where emotional cost outweighs emotional reward. Look at relationships that collapsed after a job loss, a major illness, a financial setback, or a personal transformation. Look at friendships that dissolved once convenience disappeared. Look at marriages that died not because love vanished, but because expectations changed. Machiavelli would ask, were these betrayals or simply human nature expressing itself? Now apply that to women. Women are often told their purpose is sacrifice, to forgive endlessly, to stay loyal no matter what, to give more than they receive. Society romanticizes female selflessness while criticizing female standards. Machiavelli would call that manipulation, an attempt to control women by redefining virtue. He believed the opposite, that maintaining self-interest is a sign of psychological strength, not moral failure. That a woman who protects her emotional, physical, and financial well-being is not selfish, but rational. And that any relationship requiring a woman to abandon her needs is not love, but dependency disguised as devotion. This framing changes everything. It transforms the question from why do women want what they want to why wouldn't they? Across centuries, cultures, and social systems, one behavioral pattern reappears. A woman stays when the relationship enriches her life, and she leaves when it diminishes it. That enrichment may be emotional connection, safety, admiration, partnership, intellectual stimulation, sexual compatibility, shared ambition, or a sense of being seen and supported. It is rarely shallow despite stereotypes. In fact, Machiavelli would argue it is grounded in remarkable emotional intelligence. Yet, men who misunderstand this pattern often feel blindsided. They assume consistency is guaranteed once love is declared. They believe effort can stop once commitment is secured. They confuse early attraction with permanent loyalty. And when a woman withdraws, they misinterpret it as irrational, sudden, unprovoked. Machiavelli would say the signs were always there. The incentive shifted. The exchange became unbalanced. The emotional return declined. And because women are conditioned biologically and socially to notice destabilization faster than men, they respond earlier and more decisively. This is why betrayal feels shocking to those who never examine the foundation of the relationship. They assumed love was an unbreakable promise. Machiavelli knew better. Love is a living contract, and like any contract, it requires ongoing value to remain valid. And now, after centuries of denial, reinterpretation, and moral panic, we arrive at the truth society still fears to speak aloud.